Let's have fun.
Let's do it.
So, mastering the best refactoring tool on planet Earth. How is that for a title, huh? Mastering the best refactoring tool. Now, one introduction here. Why Java? Why is Java the language which is mostly used to build systems that are supposed to live 10 years, 15 years, 30 years? I'm not sure if all of you know that, but systems have a expected lifetime. When you build a mobile app, few expect it to live 10 years. When you build a main, like a banking application or an energy grid or something for something very, very serious and long-lived, you expect it to live 30 years. And when you build a system that lives for so many years, you definitely don't want to write it in JavaScript, right? Or in not anything with JavaScript. I don't have any problem with JavaScript, but the issue is you want you choose a language which is maintainable, which is easy to refactor and adapt to the new requirements. It is easy to twist and turn how the requirements go. So you need tools for that. You need to have tools that can help you to massively, rapidly refactor code to adapt to new requirements. And if the language that you choose is Python, is JavaScript, is a dynamic language, there are very high chances that refactoring it later is not impossible, but extremely hard and dangerous. So basically, that's why we choose Java, and not PLSQL, not JavaScript, not Perl, not other languages on the back side. Not any. I don't have anything against TypeScript though. Pretty quiet, pretty neat language. But Java, and of course .NET also as well, they tend to have a long lifetime. And when I said that the Java always tries to catch up with other languages, that's a good thing. Being the last at the party has the side benefit that you can take the best of what others tried. So now Java is able to choose which way they want to go. They want to go async await. They want to go what? So it's they have this option, but others don't. They just rush to be the first, and then they struggle with backwards compatibility. Java and since the beginning of time did that. Was the last, was always behind C# in features in the language. Let Scala and Kotlin experiment, but then when Java takes a step, it's a good strong step. It never falls back. It never breaks backwards compatibility, right? Unlike others, like I don't know, Kotlin or others, which keep which teams keep struggling with maintaining up to date with the latest language version. Good. So, what's that? I wasn't expecting. Oh, my slides just went. Merge conflicts. No, I don't want to see this today. Please, not merge conflicts. All right. So, introducing myself. For some mysterious reason, the performance of my application of my system is cracking. But let's see. My name is Victor Reantea. I'm a Java champion, writing code for more than 16 years in Java. I'm doing trainings and consultancy for a living. This is what I do. In topics like Spring, Hibernate, advanced functional programming, thinking in functional style in Java, architecture, domain-driven design, clean architecture, refactoring, TDD, this kind of stuff. And also hardcore topics like performance, reactive programming, and secure coding. Last week I had reactive programming, this week I have secure coding, so I'm having a party. Right. In my spare time, I also do conferences and meetups at different places. And this brings me the opportunity to tell you about one of the largest developer communities in Romania today, and one of the top 5 developer communities in size in the world on the topic of software craftsmanship. What the heck is a software craftsmanship? It's about clean code refactoring and unit testing. Basically, this is it. These 3 things, right? Of course, culture. We are doing stuff, events remote, completely free, and always in English. And it's very, very fun. It's very, very fun. For example, in May, I will tell you the second part about 9 design hints that you were missing. Test unit tests that tell you that you have flaws, or you can find ways to improve your production code design. Okay? And it's always a party. There's always 80, 60, 100 people joining remotely, and we have always a very fun debate. Typically, it's 1 hour of presentation and then at least half an hour of questions and answers, and it's very fun. Monthly, free, just good for you to join. All right. So if you want to see, for example, part 1 of this presentation that I mentioned, it's on YouTube on my channel. I also have a YouTube channel that I share the stuff that I do on my community. Good. And now again, about the stuff that I do professionally, like on money. I do company training in different companies, but I also have mixed groups. For example, the group today is gathering people from more than 10 companies, okay? Mixed groups from different companies. If you want to know more about these, check out my website. Oh, and I also have some video content that you can. Enough about me. I have a website, you can Google me. Good. Now, very important to mention this before we start. This is the second episode about IntelliJ. There was another one shared, I think, last year also with Codecamp. And you can find it on my website in the talks section. The first episode was called IntelliJ Productivity Tips. It was focused on showing you how you can type code faster, write code faster with IntelliJ. This one is about changing code, refactoring code. And my plan is to show you all the ways that you can change Java code with IntelliJ. IntelliJ being, of course, the best refactoring tool on planet Earth. It has no match. No, Eclipse doesn't even dream. Visual Code is a joke. NetBeans died. Not died, but no. But when I go to companies, I only hear IntelliJ and Eclipse. Basically, IntelliJ 90%. I get this huge advantage that I can go to companies, to 2 or 3 companies every week, and I can testify that 80% of developers today are using, in the companies, in the good companies, are using IntelliJ. So they're using it for a reason. And by the way, I want to make it very clear. This is not a marketing pitch. Okay, I'm not selling anything to you. I'm talking about the community edition, the free edition. Everything that you see today is available in the free edition of IntelliJ, to be very clear, right? Good. So, where are we? We are facing a refactoring, a mind-blowing refactoring. Like, such a dramatic change in the requirement, such a big, or you have to do maybe a performance tuning, or you have to support a completely different flow, or you have to deploy the same software in a different country, and you have to do changes in hundreds of places in your application. This is what I call it, a refactoring, because it breaks eggs. The code, you have to break some eggs to make an omelet, right? So that kind of change that when you do it, people will start crying and design will start collapsing, right? And it happens time to time that in a normal project, by the way, the quality of the code constantly degrades, constantly goes down. I don't have to demonstrate that. So the quality always goes down in time. The entropy in the universe always goes up. The chaos in the world always goes up. So does the chaos in our code. So the code quality always degrades, but then you have these change requests that you receive, and then if you just think of putting it in place, it's like, oh my god, that will break everything. Now, you are here, the hero of the day, and you want to save the day. What you want to do next is some refactoring. But very often the first steps in some big, impactful refactoring is to make code worse. If you've been around for enough time, you know what I mean. To clean up some code in a very deep, profound way, you need to break it first, to tear it to pieces, for example, to merge 2 methods of 100 lines into 1 method of 200 lines, right? That scares many people out. I mean, definitely, like, what was that? 200 people, 200 lines of code in a method, right? So it's a matter of fate over here. Do you have faith that you will reach on the other side or not? Do you believe in refactoring or not? Now, it's very dramatic what I'm saying. There is no other way around, technically. So the refactoring that is very deep starts with making a bigger mess first, right? And now comes the pain part. If you are very slow in refactoring, and if it takes you, because not every time you will get through to the other side. There are times in which, you just take the bad decisions and your code just gets worse and worse and never recovers. So In such cases, you have to have a time box. You set yourself for such big refactoring. Let's experiment with this design idea. Let's allow us half a day, or 1 day, or 3 hours to see where we get. And if in 3 hours you don't get anywhere good, you revert everything. But this brings a problem. Imagine yourself when the beginning of your career, I mean 1 or 2 years of experience. How much experimentation can you do in 2 hours, right? I mean, in 2 hours at the beginning, I remember I was only able to break a class in two. It took me 30 minutes. It's a lot of hard work. Typing, Control X. And then after 2 hours, look back and what you did nothing. You didn't learn anything. So the problem is that you have to get faster, that you get to some conclusions faster. You have to get to draw some conclusions, to say, hey, this doesn't work. So in that 1 or 2 hours or 4 hours that you experiment, you want to be as fast as hell to experiment to try out your design ideas. And then of course at the end, Control Z, right? I have this quote, this say of mine: a day in which you didn't undo anything, that's a day you lost. That day you didn't learn anything new. So after experimentation a bit, revert, come again. This time with a steady pace, going that direction. So I'm talking here about experimentation with design, about playing with design to find the best way forward, right? And it turns out there is a methodology underlying this. It's called the Mikado method. You set up a naive goal, you try to implement it naively, and if you don't have any error, you're a happy man. But if you add errors, then you decompose your problem into prerequisites. So I have to first change the database query and then try to do this task. And then you undo everything. This is the pain point. Opa, sorry. Come on, here. This is the pain point. You revert all changes, and you start over focusing on the prerequisites first. And you decompose an incredibly complex refactoring into sub-steps that you approach independently. Right? That's Mikado method. But let's get to code. Just a second to close some stuff in here because really it works like very slow for me.
Hello everyone, seems that
on our side.
I think for everyone, Victor is hanging a bit.
Yeah, but we can continue the conversation.
Yes, you're a master in refactoring.
Exactly. The 3 rules of refactoring would be, let's wait for Victor, I would say, right? In the meantime, I think it's helpful if we prepare some questions for Victor when he'll get back, right?
Let me also reach out.
Yeah, we'll call Victor and we shall see. Okay, so we've got. Hello again, Victor.
Hello, nice to see you again. I found what was lagging my computer, but my question is, how much time was I out?
That's like probably 2 minutes or so.
Ouch,
No more than
ouch.
that. So are you mining something or what's happening there? I mean,
Yes, I was converting some video. It should be better now. I closed it. It was
okay.
compressing some
So this is
video.
how they say now. So if you're not mining, you're converting some videos. Okay, good.
I'm not mining anything. I was converting the Zoom recording for the group, so I'm an honest man.
Okay,
Let's
no
hope
worries.
it never
Okay,
happens again.
no
So,
worries. No worries.
I'm not sure where I left off, but I was trying to tell you that coming to Git, this is the Git location where I can find the code. and I will start talking about parameters. Now, my goal first, so the goal today is to show you the dynamic of the code, to show you how you can change the code. It's not supposed to have much sense, it's much domain sense. It's about the technique to refactor, right? It's about getting yourself better for the bigger fight. It's about learning the tool. Good. First refactoring, introduce parameter. You have a function over here, method, that takes W and depth, like weeks and depth. Of course, the most common refactoring in the world is rename. So Shift F6. The keys are displayed in the corner here. Also, it's the version on the Mac. So if you want to see that later, you can pause the video. This is weeks. Good. Weeks time file. And then suddenly you want to parameterize the name of the project that you have inside. This is called introduce parameter. Now, there are many approaches to this, but the fastest, look, the function is called in two places, you see? Method from here, method from here. These two calls, I want them both for now to pass colibri as an argument to the method. So the end result should look something like this, and the same below. Now, the fastest possible way you can do that in IntelliJ is to select this text over here. Let's right click for now, refactor, and then introduce parameter. I will use the keys for now. Introduce parameter. If you play that on the part of a string, IntelliJ will extract that part as the project name, refactor, and it will push it to all your colors automatically. Done. You see? There you go. Colibri, colibri. And then you can change it here. Maybe perhaps it's another project. I don't know. Phone number management. My first project I ever worked with. Phone number management. 16 years ago. Management. So you can parameterize the function to push something out of the function, right? And then you can use it in different places with different arguments. You can change it in one place. And now, coming backwards and say, wait, if I already have the parameter in place, colibri, and all the colors give the same value, then there is the inverse refactoring. The inverse refactoring, I know you can put here colibri, but I'm talking about getting faster on the moves we do in the code. The fastest way to fix this is to inline the parameter. What? You can inline the parameter. What does that mean? IntelliJ will check all the colors to provide the same value, and if it finds all the colors always pass the same constant expression, colibri, it will bring colibri in, destroy the parameter, kill the parameter from here and here, and put in here colibri. Done. The fastest way. So introduce the parameters, push out that thing out of your function in all your colors, so then they can change it. But the other way around, if you find all the colors passing the same value. Now, I'm playing the game in which you have multiple colors, but many times when you refactor code in a private function, you have a single color. If you have a single color, you can twist, you can throw over the fence some constant on the other side. But this can be much more interesting, really. For example, you might choose to take, instead of weeks, to take the number of working days. So you might choose to push this into your colors. Why? Because in some countries, people work 5 days per week. Or because in some countries, like France, for example, they have so many holidays, for example, one of the most holidays in the world. So the point is, you want now to take not a single string, but you want to take an expression, right? An expression. This also works. You take select the expression and you press the same refactoring, introduce parameter. But if I press enter, the number of days worked is pushed on the colors. The expression is pushed on the color. But something magic happened. Just compare the solutions. It used to look like this. I used to take the weeks as a parameter. After the refactoring, I don't need to take weeks, but instead I take only days. You see? Let's do it again. So it looked like this. I took the expression from here. Now, weeks is 5 here, 12 here. So if I introduce a parameter, that would basically IntelliJ, knowing that weeks is used in this expression, you see, it figures out that it doesn't need the weeks anymore, if you look here. And instead, it pushes the expression. So if you see 5, it will appear 5 times 5 here, it will appear, and here 12 times 5. Let's do it again. This. Done. 5 times 5. And the extra parameter is deleted automatically because IntelliJ sees that that parameter is no longer used in the method. Right? Now, also very fun. Something happened for me and I forgot to point out. When I pressed, my cursor was here. There are two ways to extract an expression out. One way, the classic way, is to select the expression that you want and move it out. The other solution is just to put your cursor somewhere on that syntax and then say, hey, let's extract. And then IntelliJ will ask you, what do you want to extract? You want to extract 5 or weeks times 5? Right? This can get really, really ugly, really interesting sometimes. Look here. You want to extract this, or this? Basically, looking at the syntax, IntelliJ finds all the expressions surrounding the cursor. Right? It is very comfortable. You don't need to grab the mouse to select the text like I used to do in Eclipse. You just put the mouse somewhere in there, parameter, done. Good. All right. Another trick that I do is see if you just hit enter like this, it will make two variables. An optimization to that is just to click the actual local variable. Look, if you just click days, the days moves out and there is no extra noise inside. It's a subtle difference. There is no I promise I'm not doing anything smart. It's just demonstrate. I'm not doing it. Let me kill a process. What process to kill today? What a wonderful story. Details. Right? So this time I noticed when I disconnected, but can we do something about this? Processes. CPU. Chrome. It's Restream. That's who's guilty for this. It's the platform. And of course my laptop. Sorry again, but this time I wasn't away for long, so let's continue. If you click the expression, it extracts this is a new argument. If you click the local variable, it basically takes the local variable as a parameter like this. Bang. Good. So this is introduced parameter. Now, you could, by the way, there is no such refactoring in any other refactoring tools in Eclipse or other, they don't dream of this. Now, in this particular case, to push, imagine that you don't want to extract something that is already there out, but instead you want to parameterize this function with some extra information, some extra argument. To do that, refactoring is called change signature. If you change the signature, you get to add or remove or very interestingly reorder the arguments. Very, very useful in practice. So devs moves now as the second argument. So if you refactor, it changes the arguments, and also wherever those were passed, they also changed it in all the colors. Good. Days. Good. Now, if you want to change the signature to add a parameter, you can do that. The lovely boolean, right? The change request 3 to 3 that you have to implement, and you decide to use the boolean because it's late, and you put false to everyone, that kind of stuff. Default value also very useful. It will put the false as a default for all the existing colors. Bang, false. And then in that special case of yours, you put true. This is a violation of the single responsibility principle, but this is how professionals commit violations of principles. Good. Change method signature. Inline parameter, we saw that. Replace parameter with query. We actually saw that. Let's play that again. We didn't actually saw it correctly. Let's give it a try. If I put math.random in here. Look, another trick. How do I add a parameter to the function without doing a lot of work, with the least amount of typing? I just type the new parameter in place, and then the row gets read, right? And then when the row gets read, I hope you remember my poem. I wrote a bit of of poem, the story goes, when it's red, yellow, blue, or gray, Alt Enter will save your day. So technically, whenever something gets colored in IntelliJ, you Alt Enter it. And guess what? The first option, add double as the first parameter to the method. Done. Enter. So you just type the stuff in your place, and it automatically pushes it everywhere. It changes the signature here, and use this as the default for everyone else. Very convenient. Now, if you choose to bring this in, you can go for random over here and say inline. So it can bring expressions like function calls inside with some limitation. But basically now it will, if you use random anywhere in the code here, for example, why would you do that? I don't know. I told you it doesn't make any business meaning. It's just playing with the tool. If you bring the random in, it will basically destroy. It worked because I did the same thing in both places. If one of the colors did mat random +1, then this inlining doesn't work anymore. You see? But if you have the same expression in both colors, in all the colors, and again, I'm complicating a bit the story. Most of the time, you only have one color. So if you have a color that has some expression in there, you can just bring it in like this. Let's see if it fails in any way. No, it works. Good. So that's basically replace parameter with query. This is a refactoring from the refactoring book, basically. Replace parameter with query. I replace the parameter with doing the call myself inside my function. All right? Cool. Now, let's imagine one day that this method gets too many parameters and you want to group them together. You want to group them together because they make sense together. Days and deaths, that's like workload, perhaps, let's call it. So I'm trying to create an object that would group these two together because there are too many arguments, and I see that I find that these two parameters, these two pieces of data, they stick to each other. They are always going together wherever they go, right? So in that case, I go to my method and I say, I can introduce, I pressed a shortcut, I should point out, Control-Alt-Shift-T, or in Mac, Control-T. It opens a dialog with all the refactorings available for your cursor or your selection. So if I'm on the method, it allows me to introduce a parameter object. The advantage is that you can access refactorings which don't have a shortcut by default. I'm not a big fan of defining new shortcuts. So if you are not, I'm mostly going with the default ones. Even if Shift F6 is very difficult to type, I still keep it like this because I want to have the same key map as my colleagues when I pair program or when So this one doesn't have a shortcut, and I don't assign one. I just use this magical, like this ring of power. It's like this. You can do anything you want with this Control-Alt-Shift-T, and then introduce parameter object. And I choose to group together days and deaths. These two parameters grouped together in a new class. My God, new freaking class called workload. Right? And if you press refactor, magic things happen. Let's see together. When you press refactor, basically IntelliJ will destroy these two arguments and will put instead an argument of type workload. And on the other side, in the color, it will instantiate. My God, how hard! I don't know what's wrong. Google Chrome has 30% of my processor. And I'm not watching a movie as I speak. It's just the streaming platform. Anyway, so workload, refactor, let's see what happens. And again, hello.
You're doing
How
something,
are you?
Victor. You're doing
I'm not doing
something.
anything. I'm not coding anything. I'm just looking at the CPU. 48%. I have 6 physical cores, 12 logical processors, 4 gigahertz. It's a beast of machine, and it doesn't, for some reason, work. But anyway, let's enjoy the moment. At this time, I got the back on time. Maybe to close my video, maybe that could help. I do have one trick that I could try. I stopped already the audio filtering of my voice and the noise reduction, and I will just a second to do that. I will select the audio directly the microphone without any mixing. I won't be able to use sound effects anymore, but that's the problem. Audio input is directly the, just a second, it's called, and that takes down 2 of the very CPU eager parts of my configuration. Can you still hear me? I hope.
Yes.
Okay. Video, no filter for video, no filter for voice. All antivirus is disabled. I don't have anything running right now. Really, I can't do more than that. Really. So let's hope. Now, I was trying to introduce the moment that I will repeat it again. I took days and deaths, and I introduced it as a parameter object, like this. And I said, these two together, they create workload. And IntelliJ will create a class with workload, and it will instantiate the class on the other side of on the caller side, basically, right? Like this, pang and pang. Now I think I'm back. It's the mouse moves okay. Good. Now, this workload is a new class that just got created. Actually, it's a record, for Christ's sake. Java 17 to the rescue. It's a record that can be used in many places. Look, so basically, it replaced the 2 parameters with callers inside the record. It instantiated the record on the caller side. And if in some other occasion you have another method taking the same two arguments, for example, it was days and devs, int days, int, let's duplicate the method, it's easier. This, a similar method like this, that takes, instead of workload, days and devs, int days, days, int devs, all right? And a bit of tricks from the last time. Alt-J, I changed it with 2 cursors, basically. Now this thing over here, if you want to replace the 2 arguments, to group them together with the same workload, because it's the same grouping of data, you can introduce parameter and reuse the existing class called workload. Workload. So it's very, very, very cool technique to group together in signatures stuff that you see it moves together through your code. It's a very powerful technique to identify new concepts, right? So technically, basically, it's done. The only problem is that a bug of the refactoring. Amazing. Let's see. Introduce parameter object. I can't believe my eyes. Days and devs, and I reuse. You know, there is one thing here. This is a record, and probably they don't. Let's try it one more time. Work, load. Devs, days, right? And devs, refactor. They have a bug. Ha! Anyway, this because it's records. Trust me, if you extracted the normal class, that will never break at all. But it's record, it's something new. Good. So we all struggle. Right? All right. So this is introduce parameter object. Good. We also mentioned the idea to introduce parameter introduce this is a beast. You introduce functional parameter. What the heck is that, really? The rest we saw by now. I will mark them. Oops. I will. Don't give me emotions, please. I will mark those that we covered with this sign so that you can track later in the video. Now, introduce parameter. This one, introduce functional parameter. Imagine that you have to vary this argument, this behavior inside. One last trick before. You see the parameter is gray and it's never used. So just save delete. It will destroy it from everywhere. But that one I think you discovered yourself by just seeing things colored and hovering. But this one is different. When you pass when you call the method from F, you want to do some logic. When you call it the method from here, you want to do a different logic. So a very hardcore geek way, it's a very geek way to solve this problem, really maybe too geek, is to take this line and pull it in the color. What do you mean? Pull code in the color. It's really mind-blowing. It's called introduce functional parameter. It technically takes this piece of logic and it replaces it with a consumer. For Christ's sake, what? It's a ladies and gentlemen, it's a consumer, like this. What is wrong with you? What? It's a consumer which is implemented with a lambda on the other side that contains the code that used to be in the middle of this function. So you just select several lines of code, introduce functional parameter, boom! It's a lambda passed by all your callers. Right? And then you can change your stuff freely. Perhaps for this guy, you want to do this twice for some mysterious reason, right? Or twice. I don't know. Your job. I'm just playing. So introduce functional parameter will basically create a lambda. But a warning here. Don't abuse this. Taking function as a parameter is not something you want to go very, very easy on, in Java at least. Okay? Java has an imperative background. 95% of developers in Java they understand this, but they're not super comfortable yet. I can tell you that. I'm going from company to company every week. So don't go very easy on this. Try to find other ways before you jump on passing functions as arguments, right? Change to signatures, and we can remove or add parameters via Alt-Enter. Let me also show you how to remove the parameter. Look, in case you wipe out this, maybe not this, this is too much. What can I wipe out? Can I wipe? Yeah, let's try. Why not? Let's kill this. I will kill this. And then IntelliJ will tell you, hey, you're missing a parameter. I know. Should I remove it? Yes, please. Boom. Remove it from everywhere. So you get to the same change signature dialog, but by typing first what you want, and then it all goes away. Of course, this doesn't compile anymore. Of course, you deleted the parameter. But it's very easy. If you want to add a parameter, you just put the stuff in here, and you Alt-Enter, enter, done. Right? Boom. If you want to wipe it out, you just delete it from here. Right? Alt-Enter, done. Right? So you can you can add more parameters and remove them very, very easily. Good. This was the trick. Fields. Okay, this was probably the most interesting part, the most full of the part which is most useful every day. But now let's talk about fields. Fields. Now, in a test, for example, it happens that you instantiate the tested class multiple times, and it makes no sense to instantiate it many times. So it's a common pattern to put this instantiation on the field of the test class. So you can do that with extract field. And it looks in the class to see whether you did the same expression in other methods. And if you did, it will offer, should I replace all occurrences? Okay, done. Right, extract the field. But you see, then also the other way around goes. You can have this field defined here with a new, and you can say, okay, let me inline the field. When you inline a field, the expression of the field is copied in all the places, like basically the field is destroyed. I see little use of this except tests, right? You might construct in a field, for example, you might construct like a builder or something, like a customer, I don't know, customer. Do I have a customer? Yes, customer. And you construct the customer and you fill the customer using, I don't know, perhaps fluent setters, set something, and then you want to inline the customer in all the places you used it. Perhaps you used it here. At the start that I'm using here, you can see in the first video, right? In the first episode. You can inline the field here and it will put the expression in all the methods. It's pretty useful, pretty neat, pretty cool. Good. Okay. Good. This is extracting 95. Then encapsulate fields. This is quite mind-blowing. You all know public fields are bad. Somehow, throughout our education, we are told, oh, encapsulation. Encapsulation means getters and setters. That's a lie. That's bullshit. But if you just have public fields, you can't do much about those fields, can you? I mean, you can't perhaps have more logic, or you can't control who and when changes done. It's a bit more. After years and years, I can tell that there is no much difference between public fields and getters. Easy to me. hello, is it me you're looking for? And to tell the good news, I have air conditioning blowing cold air into my laptop. I'm doing all I can. But good to be back. So glad to see you again, folks. Excellent, excellent. Now, hear this one. Public fields should be replaced with getters and setters. That's not the end. The goal is not just to have getters and setters. The goal is to maybe it's not encapsulation still, but there is an automatic refactoring to do that. It's called encapsulate fields. Encapsulate fields will replace the access to these fields, the access to write, or the access to read, with a setter and a getter, respectively. You can even enforce it in the same class. I'm not a big fan of that. But anyone outside of the class who reads and writes from those fields, boom, done. Getters and setters. Free getters and setters. Getters and setters for everyone, right? Come and get one. Getters and setters by themselves. They don't do much. They're just stupid way of. This is a weakness of Java. It's a bad habit in Java, technically. Records tried to take this away from our culture. That's why in the records we accidentally saw before there is no getters and setters, right? But it's a long story. The technique here is that you can and you can go the other way around. If you don't like the setter, you can just inline the setter. Let me show you. And you can just inline the method. This is a very useful technique. When you inline a method, IntelliJ copies the expression of this method, but not the setter, please. Let's start with the getter. If you inline the get y, it will put y in here. So technically, it will take this part from here and stick it here. But this doesn't compile, you see, because this means an access to the private field. So this is exactly what will happen if you tell IntelliJ inline the method and remove it. If you tell IntelliJ that, it will tell you, hey, why it's not visible? Are you sure you want to go there? Yeah, I'm sure. And after you see the problem, you Control Z, and you think again, what can I do to avoid this kind of problem? Well, one way is to make these fields first public, so that they become accessible. And I'm basically reverting back the code to what was it before, inlining the getter and destroying the method. This method is not used at all, actually. And the setter, again, I will destroy the setter, inlining it in the caller. So it can move from getters and setters to public fields in a very smooth way. There is an automated way to go both ways. Good. Next chapter. Methods. Extract method. That's a big one. We do extract method. I mean, if I were to classify them, I think, I don't need to classify them. I can ask IntelliJ. Let's see. Productivity, where was that? My productivity? Yep. Control space. 100,000 times since when? Since last 1 year and a half, 1 year and 3 months. Good. Let's see what are the refactorings that are here first. Let's see, this shows how many times you've used. Rename, introduce variable. Where is extract method? Should be here. I should sort by 2 columns, group and used. But rename and extract method. These should be the most common ones. Let's see. Go to declaration. I don't find that the extract method. But these two are always the top ones. Rename and extract method. These are the king and queen of refactoring, right? So here, let's extract some methods. We have F and G, and they contain code which looks very similar. Look, just int y. Compare this with this. It's very, very similar. Wow, the same code. The next thing you want to do is to extract this as a method, right? And you do that, and then you notice something. When you extract this function, right, like common part, you want IntelliJ to extract it from both places because it's the same code, right? And it will, right? Most refactoring tools out there know to extract identical code into methods in the same class, into a common method. That's a very basic operation. But if you do that, IntelliJ will tell you, hey, this method like we extracted, it's really no exact method duplicates were found. This dialogue is really mind-blowing. It appeared, I think, 1.5 years or 2 years ago, and it caused a lot of damage to developers, really, because they don't understand what this means, really. So no exact method duplicates were found. But if you allow me to change the method I extracted in the way I show below, I can match one more duplicate. And I thought there was a duplicate, but apparently I missed something. Let me briefly undo everything and look again. The problem, my friends, It's late, I know, for you. It's here. Extra space. Ah, isn't that cute, right? An extra space. But this IntelliJ doesn't do mistakes. IntelliJ looks at what you extract, the syntax, and says, "Hey, my friend, you see, there was this different string in there." And then when you extract, it offers you to basically parameterize the extracted function at this position, and to take code as an argument from outside, in order to be able to match the other part of the other similar-looking code. So let's see what happens if you say accept in here. If you say accept, the function will be changed, and instead of code, there will only be a new variable. And that variable will be passed as code space in one case, code without space in the other case. So if you press the blue button, it will replace in both places by parameterizing code and code. Now, this could happen in practice, in large refactoring exercises, because you didn't see a change between the two functions. You missed a detail, like I did. Or this could happen because you intentionally wanted to extract some stuff and have a different parameter there. But it can also happen because just two functions happened to look the same. Two parts of code happened to look very similar. And when you extract code from one part, IntelliJ is eager to say, hey, I found some similarly looking code. If you just allow me to extract these three parameters, look, this is really mind-blowing. If not only code, but also I'm iterating to 3, and I'm saying 2. So I did 3 changes. You could argue this is completely different code, and it is. It probably has a different meaning. But if that's the case, and this is like banana, huh? If you do that, and if you extract this method, this part of code, IntelliJ, because it's so eager to help you, will tell you, hey, I can extract 3 parameters. What are you talking about? This is too much, right? And I'm a bit angry with IntelliJ on this one, because the blue button says accept. Wait a second. 3 parameters. Coffee. What are you talking about? I mean, whoa. It might happen that you just, in a large class, you might end up coupling some parts. Let me play the game to the end. It might happen that you couple together 2 unrelated pieces of functionality just because they have the similar syntax. So this can do harm, okay? That's a warning side here. This can do harm in case you didn't know about the other match. Basically, that's what happens. If you didn't know about this one, and IntelliJ just detected similar syntax. It happens in classes of over 300, 400, 500 lines of code. Hey, there I found some syntax. It matches. Okay? Don't. If you don't know what the dialog means, stop, escape, see the function, play with pressing the blue button and without pressing the blue button. All right?
Hello, Gab. Dan, do you know those movies with unexpected ending? Then you can imagine what will be there. I mean, you can craft your own thing, and then so we counted till 15 seconds. Although at the beginning of the conference, I was saying we also counted 15 years of Codecamp, but no, now it's 15 seconds. Victor is not back, so I suspect he's having some connectivity issues.
Yeah, but let's imagine how this refactoring story unfolds.
No, exactly. I mean, was that function and then the 3 parameters and then no. I think we're getting close to the end of today, but we're looking forward to having you back tomorrow, the second day of.
And Victor, we have Victor back.
Yeah, Victor, we were closing, so.
I know. Wait.
Yeah, no
wait,
worries, because. Quite a show. This
From the
was
shades
quite a
of
show.
the internet, I'm back.
You definitely know how to, increase our curiosity.
But now I can't hear you. I don't know why.
No?
Wait. I think I have an idea why. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful afternoon. I really love.
And then we've got a very good joke here.
Yes. Now I can hear you. Excellent.
Sounds like 13 is not a lucky number for Victor, but great
What
talk
13?
despite
Oh,
the
it's 13.
challenges.
Today
which
is 13.
amazing.
Yay.
Absolutely. So, to conclude, Victor, what are your final thoughts for this session?
I should buy a laptop. What is my
Buy a
final?
laptop or a new internet
water-cooled
provider.
laptop, right?
So look, there is some, hopefully not, but any ransomware knocking on the door, or what's happening there? I mean, I've been here under some
I'm
attack.
looking at my
So you had a security.
security training. I was hacked by my trainees.
Yeah.
The honest answer is I don't know what happens. I see Chrome eating 1/3 of my CPU, which is extremely huge. Probably my laptop is kind of.
No.
What should I do next, folks? Tell me. Should I continue, or my time is up anyway, right? So my final thoughts. I had to tell you several more, but I think I mentioned one of the best by now. So, should we wrap this up now?
Yeah, I would say.
All right.
That's gonna be a good idea. I mean.
Yeah, it's late. Even for restream. Yeah, we should look for other. Okay, good. Well, if there are any kind of questions, any kind of ideas, any from the audience, besides.
Yeah, there is one question. I mean, there are multiple questions, multiple comments. There was quite an activity here. You know about the former Codata, tab 9?
Codota. I tried. It eats processor, slows down IntelliJ, and the idea is very smart to generate code to show you typical ways of using the stuff that you are playing with, to show you snippets of how other people on GitHub used the class that you are looking at. It's a good place to go on the internet to find examples of how to use a certain class you never worked with. But if you are more experienced, I believe it doesn't bring any real value. Good value, I would look more into the GitHub pilot, or GitHub Copilot, if you know, that can refactor and suggest improvements in code for you. I mean, it's on my to-do list. I tried Codota, it wasn't very. It looked nice at first, but if you learn your stuff in IntelliJ, you don't need Codota. All right.
No, I think that there is some final recommendation for you, and this says a Mac.
I'm Mac, exactly. A Mac. Oh God. If I'm a Windows guy for what 20 years, I would die. This is the worst you could do to me. I mean, you could you could cut a finger, it will hurt less. Ouch. Yes.
You can teach old dog new tricks.
Exactly.
I'm sure of it.
Exactly.
Good.
Probably that's the correct workaround. I will negotiate.
So
with
it was a very good day, I would say. Thank you so much, Victor. I mean,
thank you. Sorry for the incident, Nakul.
Yeah, no worries. I think that was your trick, because you like to leave like unfinished stories, because you like us to come to the next one and so on, right?
Yeah, episode 3.
I think
I
it's
thought I had enough
really
time
to think of the next one and try start planning,
Yes.
for the next one. So
in the autumn or what? Where is the next one? Yeah. Good. Thanks a lot, folks.
I mean, the conclusion is here. Thanks for the presentation, Victor. So
yeah, that's a conclusion.
well done. Thank you so much
Thank you
once
too.
again, mate, to being here at Codecamp.